Hello and welcome to another Critique the Community. This was going to be a live critique, but I'm in the middle of a tropical storm here. The wind has been crazy, power's out, we're on generator power right now, and internet's out, and Patrick's gone, so I'm going to be handling this myself. Today we're going to be critiquing images of design. And if you would like to be part of the next critique, I would like to see your best images that show emotion or emotional images. So it doesn't have to be a specific emotion, but any sort of heavy emotion. You can go to fstoppers.com/contests at any time. You can see past contests, including this one, and you can see all of the images high res. And you can also upload to the next critique, and you can also rate images, which will determine who wins the free tutorial. The first image here is the highest rated image. You will get a free tutorial from fstoppers.com/store. Send me a private message on fstoppers and let me know what you want. I'll send that to you, and I'm going to give the last image in this critique a random free tutorial as well. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Let's look at this shot. I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at here. You know, at first glance, I assume this is some sort of building and I'm looking up at the sky, but then to not have any sort of windows or anything, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I do love it. I think it looks awesome. I'm gonna rate this 4 stars, and if you guys are unfamiliar with our critiques, 1 star is a snapshot, meaning anyone could have taken it with any camera, they're kind of just documenting the moment. 2, needs work before it hits your portfolio. 3 is a solid image. You could put it in your portfolio and you could make money with images like that. 4 is excellent, that's what I'm rating this. 5 is world-class or unforgettable. The reason why I hesitated and maybe wanted to give this a 3, down that right side, there's a lot of blown out area that, you know, I think might look a little better if it had just a little bit of detail in it. I love the symmetry of this image. I love the colors, the play between the blue sky with the different yellows and oranges, and then that diagonal line that's cutting across. I really like it. You know, I'm not exactly sure what you would do with this image, but I could see something like this being, you know, a wallpaper for a computer. I think Windows might even have some sort of building with, you know, like a wave in it or something that's somewhat similar to this built into Windows 10. But I really like it. I'm not sure that I have much more of a critique than to tone down some of those highlights, but great job. Community gives it 3.44. This is super cool as well. And I do wonder, like, what type of building is this? It looks awesome, but I'm just trying to think of if I've ever seen a building like this, what's going on. Maybe the lighting, maybe there's just these bars that kind of stick out, and maybe it's not very thick. Maybe the wall is just right behind it, but maybe the sun is up high enough that when it's shining down, you can't really see into each of those crevices, and it makes it look like, you know, just a bunch of horizontal bars. But the fact that you got this guy to jump right in the center of this is awesome. And here's a question that I have for you guys. Would it take anything away from this image if the colors, the blue and the red, were fake for you? I mean, what if this wall is white or gray and they just went into Photoshop and drew, you know, a square and cut the guy out and then just added blue on one side and red on the other side? Does that cheapen the image? Should it matter? I think about stuff like that a lot. It definitely feels cheaper because, like, oh, you didn't get the jumper to jump right in the middle. You just cropped it like that and then made the colors yourself. But at the end of the day, I always say it doesn't matter how you got the image. The client doesn't care. They're the ones who pay for it. So it shouldn't matter, but it does a little bit in my mind. What should I rate this? I'm once again in between a 3 and a 4 star. I feel like I always like thinking to myself, if I went to somebody's website and this was the very first image that I saw, would I be able to guess the quality of the rest of their work? And with this image, the answer is no. I lean towards this photographer is really good, but in a way, this is kind of a snapshot, just in the sense it's like we got natural light going on here. There's, it's a relatively simple image. So I would be unsure what the next image would look like, the quality of the next image. Whereas occasionally, maybe the majority of the time, when I see an image, especially an image that's lit and retouched, I instantly know how good the photographer is. And we actually have an image coming up where I'll use as an example. So maybe I give this a 3, but I think this could definitely fit in with other 4 and 5-star images. There's something beautiful about this simplicity that I think could fit with other world-class images, but by itself, this isn't an unforgettable shot by any means. Community gives it 3.33. All right, well, this is the image here. And I hesitated to put this in because I was like, does this count as design? It's obviously well designed. It all has to do with your opinion of what design means. Does that have to do with like interior, exterior design, building design, product design? I don't know. I felt like this was kind of like image design, art design. So I put it in here. I love this image. And this is one of these images where I think if you see this, you know that this photographer is great, even though I don't think the lighting on this is very good. This is a shot by Felix Hernandez, which is one of my favorite photographers. He does lots of miniature work and studio work and stuff. And I bet he would admit that this image lacks a little bit of key light. It almost feels like he set up, the rim lights around the sides, which I think look fantastic. And then it's almost like I don't know if he forgot or what, but when I look at the drips that are coming off of the different, in case you guys are having trouble noticing, this is 3 different types of pasta with 3 different types of pasta sauce to look like the Italian flag. I mean, it's a brilliant concept. If you look at the drips coming off the bottom, I feel like they are lit perfectly. You've got those beautiful rim lights around the sides, but then we also have relatively bright highlights on the front of each of the drips. But then when you move up and you look at the sauces themselves, they're almost in shadow for most of it. And then you move up the pasta, and there's this really dark shadow that doesn't really make sense to me by the metal piece that holds the bristles in. And so it's not bad. It sounds like I'm being very critical here. It's not bad. It just doesn't seem quite as well lit as most of Felix's shots. But this concept is so brilliant that I would see this and instantly go like, oh wow, like this is so clever. I can't wait to see what else this photographer has. And I think, from a photography standpoint, this is one of Felix's weaker shots, but from a conceptual standpoint, it's one of his more powerful shots. So I'm a huge fan of this. I would probably rate this probably 4 stars, just conceptually. I feel like it's so cool and clever. Community gives it 3.32. Got lots of 3.5-star community ratings here. This shot, it looks so wild, On one hand, you could say, oh yeah, it's a real building. On another hand, you could say, oh, this is CGI. And then you could go, no, I think it's a painting. it's so abstract. The reflections in some of these windows are just so wacky looking. And then when you contrast that with the shadows down the sides, I just love this. What am I going to rate this? I'm probably going to go 4 stars again. I really like this image as well. I feel like this type of photograph kind of leans in the fine art direction. I think you could print this small and it would look cool on someone's wall. I think you could print this huge and it would look cool on someone's wall. I think this could be wallpaper on your phone or a tablet or a desktop computer. It's interesting and abstract enough to where there's shapes and colors and you can notice it's there. And if you want to look at all the details, it's got tons and tons of details, but it's not the stereotypical landscape photograph of a city that we've all seen that's so boring. I feel like this is super interesting. This is the type of thing that I would like to hang on my wall. Community gives this 3.18. You guys don't like any of these pictures as much as I do. I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is, but with an image like this, maybe conceptual is what I'm thinking. And with the last shot, I feel like, these are both buildings, but now when you start incorporating people and the people are posing and they get the jumping and you get the umbrella, now you're getting to a point where you could bring in people's personal opinion and they could go like, I don't know what's going on and therefore I don't want this on my wall. Or, wow, I love what's going on in this image. This is so much better than the previous shot. I feel like the previous shot maybe could appeal more to the masses just because it's, I don't know if generic is the right word, but it's just simpler. Whereas something like this, it's probably going to be a little bit more polarizing. I love the tones. I love the fact that you've got the people dressed in black with that red umbrella. I think it looks great. The cool low contrast building with that white highlight on the right, but you can still see enough details, all those dots down the side of the building. I feel like that's perfect. I really like this one as well. I'm in between a 3 and a 4 star again. Maybe I'm gonna go 3 stars on this just because I like the guy jumping with the umbrella. I'm not sure I like the other people. I feel like a lot of the other people, most of them look bored and confused, like they don't know what they're doing. And then we've got the one girl doing like this. And it feels a little hokey. And then we've got the other guy pointing, which also feels a little hokey. And then the guy who's actually jumping, I feel like that's a really impressive pose. I feel like it's a little bit more timeless and artistic than, all these people just kind of sitting down, randomly looking with 2 people pointing and posing. I don't know. I think this image would be a lot stronger without the other group of people and just having the one person. But I really dig it. Community gives it 3.17 stars. This is the inside of, I would imagine, a guitar or some sort of wooden instrument. They've added some smoke to this, which I really like. And I think normally I might be really blown away by this, but I remember a few years ago, there was a photographer that took pictures of the inside of instruments. And he or she did an amazing job. I don't even know how they did it. I think maybe they must have focus stacked or something. If you look at the depth of field in this image, it's relatively shallow, as you would expect for, a small interior shot. But I think these other shots that I've seen had a really deep depth of field where everything was in focus, and maybe also the instruments looked a little bit more interesting inside than this one. So although this is really good, my expectation for this type of shot is so high simply because of this one series that I've seen in the past, that I'm probably going to be a little bit more harsh on this than I should. I'm going to rate this 3 stars. I think I'm in between a 2 and a 3 on this. I think it's really interesting. I guess my only critique is I think I would like the depth of field to be a little bit bigger. Maybe I'd like to see a little bit the shadows opened up just a little bit. Really make it feel like a larger room. But then again, I might be critiquing this unfairly because I'm comparing it to the other shots that I was just blown away with, and maybe I'm trying to make this shot look like that, which is probably unfair. But this is really cool, and I'm really curious how you even take pictures like this. Do you have to cut a hole in the guitar? Maybe some of these shots are taken from the pickup hole. Maybe you can remove the electronic pickup and then fit a lens in there. I'm not sure. But very cool. Community gives it 3.04. This kind of looks like the stairs that are inside of the... is it the Vatican? Now I'm unsure of myself. But there's some really famous stairway that's very wide like this. I don't think this is the Vatican, and I don't think the Vatican would allow people like this to be posing in their stairway, but this is super cool. I really like the play with the lighting and the shadows on this, and I'm interested to know if this was done in camera or in post. But we've got really beautiful directional light on these stairs with interesting highlights and shadows. It's faint, but you can kind of see like these little highlights going down the center of the stairway where the edges of the stairs are a little bit darker, and then of course under each stair you've got this nice shadow. But then we've got the super interesting bright light coming through the doorway downward, casting these beautiful shadows towards the bottom of the frame from each one of these dancers. And that's what really makes this image. I mean, if you tried to light this shot from the camera, it would lose all of the magic. I like the color grading on this. We've got these really dark purpley magenta colors with teal and orange in the highlights. And then we also have this hint of yellow and orange on the left side, which I really like as well. There's also the highlight. If you look on the railing on the right side, there's that orange and yellow highlight that's kind of reflecting from that light on the camera left. And I think it looks great. Maybe the dancer on the left, his legs might be a little too straight. It's like he's broken his knees. Maybe he should. I think the best posed guy might be the guy in the upper right. He's kind of got like a little bit more of a full body arch going on. But and then the girl, you know, the fact that her head is kind of touching that artwork on the ground, maybe pull her off just a little bit. But I'm getting real picky. I don't know. I'm going to go 4 stars on this. Community gives it 3.02. I'm in between a 3 and a 4. This is so cool. I don't know what the heck I'm looking at here. This is probably some crappy like gas station or something. But I love this. Just from a design perspective, The lighting is amazing. The composition, the photographer's done such an amazing job here of taking something that's probably super boring and turning it into something really interesting. I mean, and it's so clean too. I wonder how in the world, is this new? Did they have to do lots of touching up and post? I'm not sure, but you know, just that perfect gradient that's across both of the white parts. It's very faint, but it looks great. Same thing, you've got these slight gradients in all the red parts that just kind of flow together perfectly. Maybe the only part that doesn't look totally perfect is the bottom left. There's this highlight on the red down there that's, you know, makes it seem a little bit more real and a little bit less of a CGI rendering. But maybe that's great, you know, because if this got any more perfect, you would think this is computer graphics. And then that highlight, the triangle that's on the bottom right side, the two triangles down there, one from the highlight and one from the flat part of the red metal. I love it. I don't know what the heck you do with this. Again, I kind of feel like this is just fine art, you know? You put this into some modern building as a large print, and I think it would look amazing. Again, I think this could look great on a cell phone as a, you know, background for your cell phone. I don't know. I like it so much. I want to try to come up with something that it could be used for, but it's so wacky. I don't know what you do with something like this, but I think just as art, it's beautifully done. The community gives it 3.03 stars. I guess I didn't rate it, did I? Once again, I'm in between a 3 and a 4. You know, I'm kind of leaning towards the 4 just because I feel like it's so well done for what it is. And then I'm leaning towards a 3 just because it's like, what the heck is it? And what are you going to do with this? Can I just leave it at 3.5? I'm going to leave it at 3.5. Now, here we are back to the stereotypical black and white, ultra contrasty, ultra dodged and burned and gradiented image. I remember when this style of photography came out 6-7 years ago, and it blew my mind. I'm like, how do they do that? And the truth is, I still don't really know how it's done, but everybody's doing it. So there must be a standard technique of how to do it. And I would like to do, maybe I'll do a tutorial on it one day. I like it. I've just seen it so much now that it's becoming cliche to me. And so that makes it difficult for me to rate this. I am going to give this image 3 stars. I feel like it is well done, but maybe the subject matter, maybe the editing is just a little bit over the top and not as timeless as other similar style images that I've seen. And that's why I give it the 3 instead of the 4 or the 5. If I look at the middle of this close pillar, where the watermark is down here, it just kind of feels like there's weird highlights and shadows and stuff that aren't very real looking. It almost just feels like dodging and burning errors, maybe. Like you've dodged certain parts and then whoop, you accidentally hit, you know, the pillar. The sky is pretty over the top. You know, very brights and very darks. I know that's the style of this, but it just kind of feels very over the top. And then if you look at where the roadway and the pillar meet, and you look at the sky there, you know, there's dark shadows there that, again, just kind of make it feel fake to me. And again, aren't as timeless as other similar images. So I'm leaning towards 3 stars on this one, but I do really like it. It's super cool. And I need to learn how. We need to learn how you guys are pulling this off. Community gives this 3.4 stars. So this was one of the highest rated images in the critique. And this is the final image of today's critique. And you are the winner of a random free tutorial from the Fstoppers store. You can head over to fstoppers.com/store, pick out what you want. Send me a private message on Fstoppers, and I will send it right over to you. It's kind of hard to tell what I'm looking at here. I would imagine this is a staircase, and maybe you can walk up it on the other side. But what's so weird about this is that there's no shadows anywhere, and I find that very discombobulating. You know, at times I look at this and I'm like, is this just flat? Is this just some computer rendering? But then I look at the, I guess the doorway or the window up there, and I can see a reflection and a shadow. So like, okay, it is real. But it's just so strange that, you know, on that white whole wall, there's like no gradient at all. And then on the black wall, same thing, no gradient. It's just perfectly black all the way up. There's aspects of that I really like, and then there's other aspects of it that are so simple that I don't like it as much. When I compare this to the red shot with gradients everywhere and shadows everywhere, I prefer that. But there's aspects of this that are different that I can appreciate as well. I am going to rate this 3 stars. I think it certainly deserves to be in your portfolio, but I don't know if you're going to blow people's minds or blow clients' minds and they're going to go, we got to hire this guy because of this image. So I feel like this certainly shouldn't be the first image in your portfolio, but I think it could definitely be in there. Do I have a critique for this? I'm not sure I do. I don't know what this wall would look like during different times of day, during different sun placement. I don't know what this would look like at night. And so I'm not sure if this is the best way to shoot this or not. Maybe it is. Maybe shooting it totally flat like this. It appears maybe it's a cloudy day when this was shot. Maybe that's the best way to do it. But I would love to see this with shadows from the staircase somehow being cast on that white wall in the background, or being cast down that black wall, and you could tell that there's some depth there. Community gives this 3.42. Okay, maybe this was the second highest rated image. But very interesting. I'd like to know what type of building this is. And where is it? Feels like it's in Sweden or Iceland or something. Well, guys, that wraps up this critique. Head over to fstoppers.com/contest right now to upload your emotional photography. And hopefully Patrick will be back in the next week or so, and he'll be back in the next critique. But if not, I will do it. Maybe my wife will join me. Every time Katie joins me for a critique, you guys seem to say she does a better job than I do. So maybe I can convince her to be a part of the next one. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.